The Galactic Survival Championships had drawn competitors from 47 species across known space. Elizabeth Chen stood in the staging area, her weathered hands adjusting the straps on her standard-issue survival pack, while younger, more imposing aliens towered around her. "Grandmother, are you certain about this?" Liam whispered, crouching beside her. At 23, her grandson had accompanied her to the tournament, despite his reservations. The longest any species has survived in the Epsilon-7 wilderness is 40 days. That was a Krathian warrior, with 4 arms and armor plating. Elizabeth smiled, the wrinkles around her eyes deepening. "Sweetheart, when I was 55, I walked the Appalachian Trail. For fun." A towering Vraxian competitor nearby overheard and clicked his mandibles in what Elizabeth had learned was their version of laughter. "Human elder, the Epsilon-7 zone contains Class 5 predators, toxic vegetation, and temperatures that swing from 50 below to 60 above your Celsius scale. This is not a trail walk." "Oh, I know, dear." Elizabeth patted the alien's chitinous arm. "I read the briefing. Sounds like Manitoba in March." Liam pinched the bridge of his nose. 3 months ago, his grandmother had seen a Federation advertisement for the Survival Championships while they were visiting the new orbital station. Before he could stop her, she'd registered. When he'd asked why, she'd simply said, "Because they said humans couldn't win." The tournament coordinator, a floating ethereal named Zixstar, materialized before the assembled competitors. Its energy form pulsed with official importance. "Competitors, you will be dropped into separate zones of Epsilon-7. Your objective: survive. The last one to activate their emergency beacon wins. The record is 40 standard days, held by Crackstar, the Unyielding." Elizabeth raised her hand. "Quick question, can we forage and hunt, or just use the starter pack? You may use any resources the environment provides, though most are lethal to most species." "Perfect." The first week eliminated 60% of the competitors. Epsilon-7 was unforgiving. The Vraxian who had mocked Elizabeth activated his beacon on day 3, after a venomous serpent the size of a transport shuttle attacked his shelter. Liam monitored his grandmother's vitals from the observation station, his heart racing each time her temperature dropped or her heart rate spiked. But Elizabeth's biometrics remained remarkably stable. Through the monitoring feed, he watched her build a shelter that would make a survival instructor weep with joy. She'd located a cave, insulated it with specific non-toxic grasses she'd somehow identified, and created a fire using friction and dried fungus that burned without toxic smoke. "How does she know these things?" asked a Zentari observer, its eye stalks quivering with confusion. "She watches a lot of survival shows," Liam muttered, "and she grew up on a farm in rural China before immigrating, then married a Canadian wilderness guide." By day 10, only 15 competitors remained. Elizabeth had fashioned tools from stones and bones, created water filtration systems from sand and charcoal, and had even begun cultivating a small garden of edible alien plants outside her cave. On day 20, she caught a fish-like creature from the acidic river using a spear she'd carved. She cooked it carefully, having observed which predators ate which prey, deducing the food chain and safe consumption patterns. The galactic audience was enthralled. Betting markets that had given her 10,000 to 1 odds were in chaos. Day 40 arrived. Only 3 competitors remained: Elizabeth, a cybernetically enhanced mech, and a Zentari who had found a geothermal vent and rarely moved from its warmth. "She's matched the record," Liam breathed. Elizabeth, unaware of the exact day count, was busy smoking meat for preservation. She'd created a bow and arrows, woven a basket from reeds, and had even tanned a hide from a predator she'd killed when it attacked her shelter. Day 50. The Mechta's cybernetics failed in the electromagnetic storms. Beacon activated. Day 60. The Zentari developed a fungal infection. Beacon activated. Elizabeth Chen was alone. Day 90. The tournament officials were in unprecedented territory. They'd extended the observation period 3 times. Should we tell her she's won?" Zixstar asked. "We sent a message drone," another official replied. "She caught it, dismantled it, and used the parts to improve her fishing traps." Liam laughed, despite himself. That was definitely Grandma. Through the feed, they watched Elizabeth living comfortably in her now expanded cave system. She had a garden, a food storage area, a workshop, and had even carved decorative patterns into the stone walls during the long nights. On day 120, Liam convinced the officials to let him take a shuttle down personally. He found his grandmother tending her garden, humming an old Chinese folk song. She looked healthier than when she'd started. Leaner, stronger, more alive. "Grandma, you won. 3 months ago." Elizabeth looked up, genuine surprise on her face. "Oh, is that how long it's been?" She brushed dirt from her hands. "Time flies when you're having fun, I suppose." "Having fun? Grandma, you survived 183 days in one of the deadliest environments known to the Federation." She shrugged. "Well, it's been peaceful. No bills, no traffic, no telemarketers." She gestured around her camp. "I've been thinking of writing a book about edible alien plants. I've catalogued 47 species so far." Liam shook his head in amazement. "The galaxy wants to know your secret. How did a 72-year-old human woman survive longer than species literally bred for warfare?" Elizabeth smiled, that knowing grandmother smile that had comforted him through childhood. "Sweetheart, when you've raised 4 children, buried a husband, immigrated twice, started 3 businesses, and survived a pandemic, a little camping trip doesn't seem so scary." She paused. "Also, I was a Girl Scout. Be prepared, and all that." As they packed her belongings considerably more than she'd arrived with, Elizabeth took one last look at her cave. "You know, I might come back here for vacation. It's quieter than Florida." The Galactic Survival Championships record now reads 183 days. Elizabeth Chen, human, age 72, Earth beneath it, in smaller text. Previous record, 40 days. Human participation in future championships now requires age restrictions and mandatory psychological evaluation. Grandma Chen's response when informed, "Well, that's ageist."